Joe Rogan is one hot cake. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another video. Welcome to Science Domain, where we talk a lot about politics as well as the culture war and the entertainment industry, because you and I both know that the entertainment industry is dribbling with a lot of politics. I haven't started my video with that intro in a long time, and I thought maybe I should just bring it back because one of you was reminding me about it. But anyway, I don't know if I'll be saying it in my videos. But anyway, let's get straight into the order of that day. Joe Rogan. Seems like Joe Rogan is a serious hot commodity at this point in time. Everybody wants a piece of him in more ways than one. Like we know that CNN wants him gone. That's how they want a piece of him. They want him gone. Finito. They want him canceled. And all the other legacy media as well, whether CBS, MSNBC, and the rest of them, they all want him gone. It doesn't matter. They all want him gone one way or another. And then we have other people like artists who want a piece of him as well. Some of them want him gone, but some of them don't care if he's gone or not at a certain price. I'm talking about some black artists that have started complaining about Joe Rogan. They want him gone from Spotify unless they get paid. If they get paid, then Joe Rogan can stay, which is quite ludicrous in my own opinion. It kind of like defeats the purpose of them trying to fight for social justice and fight against racism. That means that they can be bought. But I will leave that for another video because there are other things that we want to talk about today. And so Rumble has come out, which is the main order of the day. Rumble has come out to offer Joe Rogan the same deal that Spotify offered Joe Rogan to come to Spotify in the first instance. So in an open letter, the CEO of Rumble actually wrote to Joe Rogan and said, hey, dude, we're offering you $100 million. $100 million, folks, to come to Rumble. Now, for those of you who don't know much about Rumble, Rumble is an alternative media to YouTube, but the difference is that Rumble is actually proclaiming that they are offering free speech platform to everybody. But in my own personal belief, my own opinion is that as long as you are on any big tech platform, there isn't ultimate free speech. But to be fair to them, they are fairly lenient, than YouTube's and the rest of them. So there are some things you can say and get away with it on Rumble, but you would not get away with it on YouTube. So a lot of people who are free thinkers, a lot of people who are right-leaning and center-leaning, people who generally just have a different opinion, a different narrative from the usual, regular leftist narrative that we're having today. Today's leftists, new age leftists, I call them. Many of them are starting to migrate to Rumble, but they're not leaving YouTube unless YouTube kicks them off, but they're just migrating to Rumble. And so Rumble is seen as more of a right-leaning platform, unlike YouTube, that is a platform for everyone. So some people look at Rumble like as if it's an echo chamber because it is actually tailoring to more right-leaning narratives or ideologies or whatnot. So Rumble is trying to expand themselves, I think, or whatever. And, Joe Rogan is a hot commodity, so apparently that's why they want him. And what I want to talk about today is why I think Rumble is, putting an open letter out to Joe Rogan. But before we get into that, I want to talk about how Joe Rogan got to this point in the first instance, to the point where everybody wants a piece of him. And I know that many of you already know the story, but let's just get from the beginning to the end in a nutshell, pretty much. But before we get into any of that, I want to ask you guys to help the channel out, help me out, give me more encouragement as well by smashing that like button down below, because it does help the video, it does encourage me, and I appreciate it, as well as consider subscribing if you are new. Now, with all that pleasantries out the way, let's get straight into the order of the day. Now, the story of Joe Rogan doesn't actually start with Joe Rogan, to be honest with you. This story here actually starts with Donald J. Trump. Now, most of you will be like, why is he talking about J. Trump when it's all about Joe Rogan? Well, this whole thing about Joe Rogan started because CNN was losing bleeding viewers. They were bleeding viewers, and their rating was tanking badly. And this was as a result of the prophecy that Trump said. Trump said, they love me. They love me. Without me, there's no fake news CNN. Pretty much I'm paraphrasing. But once I leave, fake news CNN's rating's gonna tank. So will MSNBC and the rest of them. And sure enough, as soon as this guy leaves office, CNN, they lose more than 49% of their viewers. They were getting up to 3 million viewers per, primetime episodes. It dwindled down to 1.6. And that was for people like Don Lemon and Chris Cuomo of recent memory, because Chris Cuomo is not more part of the game. So, and Brian Stelter was so terrible in his own ratings because he spent all of his show trying to berate Donald Trump and gave people nothing else. So as soon as there's no longer Donald Trump, berating Donald Trump was like fighting the air. It's stupid because he's not there in power, but they kept on talking about it and people just kind of lost interest. So Brian Stelter could barely pull 800,000 viewers per episode. But this juggernaut right here, Joe Rogan, pulls 11 million viewers per episode. But I'm jumping the gun now. So anyways, their ratings tanked and they were desperate and they needed to look for a replacement bogeyman. So they went after Fox News. They tried as much as possible to shut down Fox News because Fox News gives a narrative that is like totally opposite to the narrative that they want. Now, even though Fox News kind of like manipulates the news a little bit and somehow try to tailor to certain base, they do give the truth and they do give a widespread range of news, real news. They still do try to put in some opinion in there because it's still all about the entertainment, but they do give wide range of news. They don't like try to depend on just berating one man or trying to like praise one man, So these people that depended on Trump, all their ratings tanked, so they needed a new Trump. They tried Fox News. They failed miserably, so they picked Tucker Carlson as the new bogeyman. It really didn't work because Tucker Carlson isn't in office. They even squeezed a little bit of juice from Kyle Rittenhouse for a while, right? But still not enough until Joe Rogan started talking about the big V's, the jabs and all that. And Joe Rogan had, I think, Sanjay Gupta from CNN on his podcast talking about, look, I'm young or I'm strong, I'm fit. I don't think young people should be getting the jab. Now, this is not me saying it. I'm just quoting Joe Rogan for the YouTube algorithms, please. So Joe Rogan said that and they were like, aha, we found something that we can hit this guy with. And so they started promoting, they started this campaign against Joe Rogan saying that he's spreading misinformation about the vaccines. But Joe Rogan maintained that, look, the vaccines are safe. They're good to use. And this is opinion. This is opinion. This is not misinformation. And he made it clear that it was opinion, but CNN didn't want to hear that. And then CNN started spreading their own sort of misinformation by saying Joe Rogan took, the Ivor drug thing, and they called it a hearse dewormer, even though there are two versions of it or two variations of it, where human beings can take one variation and animals can take another variation. And, Joe Rogan pointed that out when he brought the health, Sanjay Gupta, the health analysts for CNN. And, he couldn't defend, Sanjay Gupta couldn't defend CNN for spreading misinformation about Joe Rogan. And it wasn't only CNN, all the other legacy media rallied around it to try to get Joe Rogan down. But, this man is big. He's got these 11 million viewers. He's like Thanos in this industry. In the information industry, he's like Thanos. And I sincerely believe that if Joe Rogan put on the Infinity Gauntlet and he snapped his fingers and half the universe disappeared, he would survive it. Unlike Iron Man that ended up, going to the Netherlands. If you've never seen it, sorry, spoilers. But anyways, so they failed miserably until, when Joe Rogan brought in Robert Malone to speak about the mass formation psychosis, which we are actually seeing all over the place.
Oh, did you just hit me? Did you just hit me?
You just hit me.
You just hit me? You too?
Black Lives Matter.
Yo, this is great. Wow.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives
Black
Matter.
Lives
You're
Matter.
not getting out. I was here.
My girl here wants me to come out of the elevator so she can come out of the elevator.
Because it's a small space, we're supposed to maintain social distancing. I don't understand why you can't just politely step out to allow me out of the elevator.
But I'm not saying that Robert Malone's mass formation psychosis are actually accurate or whatnot, because you can make arguments for and against that mass formation psychosis. But we are seeing some kind of psychosis surrounding mask. Basically, what he's saying, we're seeing it being displayed in some people's body who are behaving more or less, I don't know the word for it, but behaving more like a cult these days. But anyway, moving on. So they found another reason to actually get him off air, but they couldn't do it. So maybe they low-key solicited some of these old artists, or some of these old artists, just decided to rally around it. Many of them in the industry are pretty much leftists, or they follow leftist narratives and they believe in it. And so people like Neil Young, Johnny Mitchell, some artists from Still and Nash Group, and some black artists as well came out and said they are taking their stuff away from Spotify, and that unless Spotify gets rid of Joe Rogan, they want Joe Rogan out of Spotify. Now, if it was only Johnny Mitchell, who has probably maybe 6 million listeners a month, that's nothing compared to Joe Rogan that gets close to 100 million subscribers, viewers or listeners a month. There's nothing close to it. Spotify, who do you think Spotify would choose? Spotify would say, hey, I'm picking Joe Rogan. But, when many of these other people are starting to join in and it's becoming a movement, it's become difficult for Spotify. So Joe Rogan, I think, maybe come to a consensus with Spotify to actually address the situation. And in addressing the situation, a lot of people are referring to that addressing of the situation as an apology. I don't think it's an apology. I think it's more or less like an explanation and more or less like a little bit of an expose, because what he did say is make people think about what is being deemed as misinformation by big tech or things that are coming from the left. And there were a few things that he mentioned, saying things like, last year, if you had come out to say that cloth masks don't work or masks don't work or whatever, your platform will be banned or censored or whatnot. But today, CNN is saying it all the time. They have experts saying that cloth masks don't work, cloth masks don't work. But if you had said it last year, you'd be banned.
The problem I have with the term misinformation, especially today, is that many of the things that we thought of as misinformation just a short while ago are now accepted as fact. Like, for instance, 8 months ago, if you said, if you get vaccinated, you can still catch COVID and you can still spread COVID, you would be removed from social media. They would ban you from certain platforms. Now, that's accepted as fact. If you said, I don't think cloth masks work, you would be banned from social media. Now, that's openly and repeatedly stated on CNN. If you said, I think it's possible that COVID-19 came from a lab, you'd be banned from many social media platforms.
If you had talked about a certain laptop last year, you'd be banned or you'd be censored. But this year, even CNN was talking about the laptop, or even later after elections, they started talking about the same laptop that you would have been banned for. So what is misinformation? What qualifies as misinformation? And that was the smartness of Joe Rogan. And he also did something else. Set an example by saying, hey, I still love Neil Young. He gave us a story about his first concert. Going to a Neil Young concert. And Neil Young, I didn't really know about him. But after this, I had to go and listen to a couple of his songs. And the dude in his heyday, it's pretty good, I gotta tell you. He's pretty good. Like, yeah, he's good. But anyways, Joe Rogan did something that people need to understand. That, look, you can disagree with someone, still like him. Still like him. So it was really classy, the way he came out with it. But, the left came out and said, hey, he apologized and whatnot. But still, when it comes to the leftist mobs, it's never enough until you are down or you comply. Unless you comply. And guess what Joy Behar of, The View said? Joy Behar said he's beyond redemption. His apology is not enough. He's beyond redemption. So in other words, she was low-key still soliciting for them to cancel Joe Rogan. That is just not enough that he apologized. But anyway, that was something that he did that kind of like, broke the, that kind of like broke the left, from trying to kind of cancel him. But a few days later, I think some people were still digging deep, and then they came up with another one. So while they had him on the ropes in the first instance, he came up with a rope-a-dope. Well, the left came out back fighting and swinging, and the left came up with a 1-2 by saying, hey, dude, you have been caught using the N-word in the past multiple times. And he also made a reference to the Planet of the Apes for, using it to refer to the neighborhood where he went to see the movie, The Planet of the Apes, and yeah, it's wrong. It's wrong. There's no defending that. What he said was racist. Now, do I think that he's a racist person? because he said that? No, absolutely not. We've all said things that we regret in the past. Sometimes we do stupid things. Doesn't make us stupid people. It just means we did stupid things at a certain point in time. That's how I see it. You might see it otherwise. You can let me know in the comment section below if you saw it differently, that he deserves to be canceled as a result of that. Because this guy, the reason why I don't think he should be canceled is that he's open to diversity of thought, right? Diversity of thought. It's really important in a world that we live in today, because we need to be able to have social discourse. This is the reason why I'm discussing Joe Rogan, because of what he stands for. And this is the reason why I feel like he shouldn't be canceled, because like the Bible said, he who is without sin cast the first stone. If you're without sin, then you can forgo and forsake him and say, hey, let's destroy Joe Rogan. Because the left, the people that are chasing after him, they don't do the same thing when somebody from the left makes a mistake. Take, for instance, Joy Behar herself has been guilty of blackface. And so has Whoopi Goldberg, who had a boyfriend in Ted Danson, actually took Ted Danson to a party in blackface. And guess who suggested Ted Danson go to a party in blackface? Whoopi Goldberg. And then just recently, Whoopi Goldberg made some statements that have been likened to anti-Semitism. And I personally didn't think that she should be canceled, because I thought she was coming not from a place of malice, but she was coming from a place of ignorance, right? But then after she got suspended, just a slap on the wrist, hey, go take a break. You know, it's a PR strategy to like get the noise off of her. Same Joy Behar is pissed off. She didn't say anything about, you know, Whoopi Goldberg being somebody that you can't redeem. Like, she's beyond redemption, because Whoopi Goldberg doubled down on what she said on the show when she went to Stephen Colbert. She still conflated skin color for race, which are two different things. But Joy Behar didn't say that, because when it comes to the left, when it comes to their people doing something wrong, nope. Same thing happens for the extreme right as well. When their people are doing something wrong, they never criticize them, you know. But the people that have woven the web for cancel culture has been mostly the left. So this is where we arrive at this, because this is kind of like a really tight spot for Joe Rogan at this point in time, whereby he really, you know, is in a tight corner, because this one seems almost like it's not going away. It's really pushing Spotify to the wall. You know, even though he came out to apologize for it, people are saying it's still a fake apology. They would never have enough until you comply, until you are canceled or dead and buried or gone, right? They would never. So I don't think Joe Rogan should have, you know, even tried to apologize in the first instance. But this is where we are at, and this is what has led, because he's in a tight corner, Spotify is in a tight corner, and they're just hanging by the thread, as it were. I don't know. And, you know, Rumble seems to think that this is a good time for them to capitalize on the whole situation. That's why they are offering Joe Rogan, you know, $100 million and saying, hey, come over to Rumble and we'll look after you. You know, we'll look after you. We'll take care of you. But the reason I feel Rumble is doing this is, I think personally that this is a publicity stunt from Rumble. I don't think they believe that Joe Rogan is going to come over to Rumble. I feel like they're doing a publicity stunt, because now that they said it, I'm talking about Rumble. Rumble might get a little bit more popularity, even if Joe Rogan doesn't go there. Even now, I'm starting to think of actually put some of my videos on Rumble. You know, I wasn't thinking about that before, but because of this move, myself and maybe many others will start to, you know, find out about Rumble and what they can and cannot do on Rumble that they can do on, that they can't do on YouTube, you know, things that they can do on Rumble. So I think this is a publicity stunt. Maybe this would actually draw a lot more people to Rumble, and that's why they are doing this. So, and the other thing I also believe is that Rumble might be, you know, low-key trying to protect, what's his name, Joe Rogan, in trying to say that, hey, you can't bring this man down. You kick him off of Spotify. There are other platforms. And imagine if Joe Rogan decided, hey, I'm going to start off my own platform. Probably go meet somebody else who believes in free speech, you know, freedom of speech and all that, like Elon Musk, and say, hey, why don't we give Amazon a run for their money and start a new platform that deals with information or whatever, or streaming site, or something similar to YouTube, or something similar to Twitter, like Getter or whatever, you know. So they can do that. And that could really hurt, you know, all these people. He can put a stop to you trying to cancel Joe Rogan, because at this point he's uncancelable. That's why I'm wondering, why did you even bother apologizing to people that you shouldn't be apologizing to? Because look, who specifically did you offend? You didn't specifically offend anybody, so you did what was wrong. And admitting it and changing your lifestyle, which you've proven in the last 5 years that you haven't used such words, you've shied away from it, you've changed. And so all should be forgiven and people should just move on with their lives. And, this guy stands for something that we need more of today, which is diversity of thoughts and social discourse. And he stands for more or less closest thing you can get to freedom of speech. But I want to know what you guys think about this whole thing. I think I've talked about this long enough. I don't think Joe Rogan is going to take the deal, although it might be good for him, but I don't think he's going to take the deal. But you let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, please feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe, ding that bell for notification. Didn't mean for it to get this long, but it's sort of kind of did. But anyways, hope you enjoyed it. See you guys on the next one. Take care of yourself. Peace. Sayas out of here. And remember to always think while it's still legal. Catch you guys on the next one. Bye-bye now.